Are you recording at this time?
Yes.
Welcome everyone to the remote commission work session of April 5th, 2011 at the Port of Olympia. The Port of Olympia is working diligently to address the threat posed by COVID-19 to Thurston County, the state of Washington, and the United States. On March 16, 2020, the commission adopted resolution 2020-03, authorizing certain emergency powers in light of the COVID-19 outbreak, including invoking applicable emergency exemptions to meeting notice requirements and location restrictions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Pursuant to this resolution, the Port of Olympia Commission is conducting today's meeting remotely. The Port is following the guidance from the Thurston County Health Department to take all efforts to prevent the spread of this virus and is acting in the interest of the safety and welfare of the public, the community, and our employees to limit its spread. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, and do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve with one amendment.
So it's been, okay, Commissioner Zeta, would you like to speak your amendment, please?
Move to add 5 minutes at the end to discuss other business.
Okay, it's been moved to amend the agenda to include item 5, other business, 5 minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, we have an agenda. Thank you. And Commissioner Zito, I'll make a note here. Number 5, other topic, 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, item 1 on the agenda is the Parthia Project and Maritime Washington National Heritage Area update with Don Chalmers and Chuck Fowler. So gentlemen, you have the floor.
Great. Well, thank you again for having us during your work session. Thanks to Executive Sam and Aspen for their help in organizing this presentation. They've been a really valuable partner with us in pulling these things together. And we all know Zoom can be challenging. We're excited to be here and talk about the Parthia because it reflects our mission, which is to advance the maritime heritage of our area. It also reflects a key partnership with the Port of Olympia from the standpoint of the restoration and exhibition of the Parthia. So it's important for us to recognize both elements of our presentation and our relationship with the port. And I'd like to turn it back over to Chuck at this point to kind of walk us through some of the slides. I'll take over when it comes to some of the resource development aspects. Chuck?
Thanks, Don. Commissioners and Executive Director Gibney, we're very pleased, as Don said, to present this update to you on the Parthia project. As you know, we've been working on this project since August of 2017, have made considerable progress, and we'd just like to give you a little run through as to where we've been and where we're headed. Next slide. Just for background, a brief history, the tug was built in 1906 at Winslow on Bainbridge Island. It's a iconic tug built by the Hall Brothers shipbuilding family. It's 50 feet long. It's 11 feet wide, weighs 23 tons. So it's a fairly large Olympia maritime artifact. Next slide. And it towed in Olympia. It has a very solid Olympia maritime history. It towed for Delta Smith tugs and barges from 34 to 61. And then when Foss bought the company in 62, it towed for Foss Launch and Tug, now Foss Maritime, from 62 to 75. Next. The tug participated in 26 Harbor Days, festivals, and tug races, so it's well known among the public and certainly among the other tugboat racers. It won its class 6 times through the years, and as the other tugboaters know, a very fast tug, and it's great that we've got this part of its history as part of our history here in Olympia. Next. And this is what happened in Hood Canal in November of 2017. As you'll recall, it sunk in 25 feet of water in Hood Canal under a new owner who'd come from California, tied it improperly, and the tide went out and it sunk. Next slide. So we raised it, compliments of our good friends, and with the help of John Warjohn and Rick Panowitz and Rick's nephew, Chip. We got it from the site at Hood Canal to Port Townsend. And then we hauled it out there and then trucked it back 100 miles to Olympia and began the restoration process. Next slide. As you see, we've received considerable publicity in the Olympian and other places through this period of restoration, and we have appreciated that very much because it helps with our marketing efforts and our fundraising efforts. Next slide. We've also been at Harbor Days and presented the program and the project to the public and passed out literature and received some donations as a result of that. Next slide. To date, this is where we are. We have raised a total of $256,000 in cash, in kind, and pro bono donations. Cash, we put in $59,000 and in kind $186,000. The estimated total project cost, which includes the tugboat restoration, the shoreside exhibit condition, the protective canopy and the shed, and the tug maintenance endowment, is about $300,000 to $350,000. So you can see that we're close, but we're not quite there yet. Next slide. I'll let Don talk about the final fundraising campaign and the dedication of the project as well. Don?
Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, I think it's really important that we emphasize the impact of those donations, because that was everything from helping pull the boat out of the water, shipping it, bringing it down, as Chuck has mentioned. I still have a little patch of black paint here on my right elbow from the paint party. It just won't go away for some reason. So it's a tremendous boost to our little association to have all of that come forward and get us to where we're at, 95% restored. We just can't thank those donors enough. People that you're aware of, architects, others that have also contributed beyond just the moving and restoring of the boat to help us with some of the design work that is required to exhibit it there near the farmers market. So it's extremely important that you're aware of how much we value and appreciate the efforts of people like John Warjohn and Rick Panowitz and others. And what they've basically said to us, okay, we've done what we can to move this project forward. South Sound Maritime Heritage Association Board, it's time for you to pick up the mantle and move forward. And that's what we've done. We've been in a process of developing a mini campaign. We don't need to do a full-on capital campaign, but we need to have some of the tools in place that will help us raise that kind of money. And so we've organized campaign committees around the PR, research, and the solicitations. We've identified some key people who are willing to serve and are serving as our honorary chairs, including Fred Goldberg and others that have come forward, Sarah Smith McIntosh, who have come forward and offered to serve in that capacity as honorary chairs. And we have developed a database of prospective donors, both individuals, families, associations, companies, and others that we think are likely to get behind this effort to raise this money. And so our next steps are basically looking to prioritize those prospects, to begin then assigning individuals from our board and our volunteer group to go out and make those calls and to secure the dollars that are required. It's a pretty standard approach. It's meant to be one that can expedite the process as much as possible, while the association also carries out its work for the other priorities that the board has established. And we're very hopeful that Harbor Days of 2021 will be our target for exhibition of the boat, of the tug. And that can be part of our Harbor Days celebration. You know, as you know, a nonprofit organization that's all volunteer, you know, doesn't move in lightning speed. It moves as quickly as it can with the volunteer help that it has. But we do have dedicated people that believe this to be a priority, not only for our association and not only for the Parthia itself, but for the way in which the Parthia might be a part of a larger exhibition, a larger area. The Maritime, of course, the Maritime Heritage Area that Chuck will talk about next. So let me just take a moment to pause here and see if any of you have questions up to this point regarding our presentation.
Commissioners, any questions from you at this point?
Oh, I'm feeling comfortable. Done a good job so far. Thank you.
All right, well, we can move then. Chuck, do you want to begin on the Commissioner
I have a
Dallin?
question. So thank you, Mr. Chalmers. Just to, did you say that you're hoping to have the exhibit for the Parthia completed by Harbor Days of this year, or was there some other inference or thing you were talking about there?
That continues to be our target, Commissioner.
Okay,
And
great.
we're going to be pushing as hard as we can. I think to be candid, you know, the fundraising in the age of COVID is a little different than sitting down at the Bud Bay and talking to somebody about a donation.
Right.
But we're going to do the best that we can with what we've been dealt.
Thank you.
Okay, next slide. Chuck?
I think we, before I talk a little bit about the Maritime Washington National Heritage Area, I want to just draw your attention to the photo on the right. That's Parthia at the site that the Port Commission has designated for us across near the farmers market parking lot and near the marine terminal. But that the complete design and of that canopy, protective canopy for Parthia, has been donated by the Thomas Architectural Studio and Ron Thomas. So I want to give a shout out to Ron and his staff. They've just been incredible in providing the assistance we need to do that, including permits with the city and all the things that we need. And then Drew Phillips of Forma Construction has come in and agreed to help us with the construction of the canopy. So we're set to go, and we need to finish the fundraising campaign, and then we can proceed. But as we said, we had always planned that this would be a key Olympia South Sound Maritime attraction within the new Maritime Washington National Heritage Area. And not only Parthia, but Sandman and the interpretive signage that's already on Percival Landing and new interpretive signage at the Parthia exhibit site. Next slide. And this is the heritage area. I think I've talked about this before. It's taken 10 years for us to get to this point after the feasibility study and even before that. But we were finally designated by Congress in 2019. So the heritage area is 3,000 miles of coastline from Grace Harbor County to the Canadian border. And of course, it includes all of Puget Sound and all of the South Sound, including Olympia and Thurston County. It has 18 federally recognized tribes, 13 counties, 32 incorporated areas, and 30 port districts, including the Port of Olympia. And it's the first and only national heritage area of the 55 in the nation that focuses entirely on maritime history. So we're very fortunate that we have that market niche within the entire National Park Service National Heritage Area program. Next. And the benefits, just quickly, we can share the stories of our saltwater shores. We can build partnerships between organizations, industries, and governments, because the heritage area is basically a nonprofit government public-private partnership. It'll be operated by a nonprofit organization, and it will boost local tourism and regional branding and promotion resources. So we can put, as we know, more heads in beds, more people in restaurants, more people visiting our wonderful Olympia South Sound area. And then we can connect organizations with new avenues for financial resources. We can respond to locally identified needs and hopes for our shores, and then introduce visitors and residents to new adventures and experiences. Next. Next. This is within the heritage area. The Washington Trust for Historic Preservation is the organizing entity, and they have asked regional organizations to step forward and help them promote and market this. So we went to our local tourism development organization is Experience Olympia and Beyond, our CVB. So we went to Jeff Bowe, the acting director, and said, are you interested in partnering with some local organizations to help the Washington Trust market our brand new heritage area? And he went to his board and they said, absolutely yes. So they are the lead organization as an anchor organization. We are the secondary organization of South Sound Maritime Heritage Association, but we also have the City of Olympia and of course, the Port of Olympia on board as anchor organizations. These anchor organizations will appear on the Washington Trust website and identified as groups that are helping support the development of the heritage area. Next. Part of that is outreach. The Washington Trust is in the process of developing a management plan, which even though we have approval for the heritage area, Washington Trust has to go through a management planning effort, and they have hired a consultant to help them do that. And some of us are working with them on various working groups. I'm on the branding and marketing working group, and so is Carol Riley. And so they are going through a series now of public workshops for outreach. And these will be held from 5 to 7. And as you can see on that list, on April 29th, we have our Pierce and Thurston County Zoom outreach public workshops. So we'll want to be participating in those to make sure that we promote our local attraction, the Tugboat Walk, Parthia, Sandman, and our working waterfront heritage. Next. And finally, I just wanted to mention that we got some very good news 2 weeks ago. About 2 years ago, some of you know that I have published 3 maritime history books. And early on, when we found out we were going to have a heritage area, I went to my publisher and I said, gee, it'd sure be interesting if you would want to publish a historical travel guidebook. And this is a activity of the History Press. And we just got word 2 weeks ago that they had approved the proposal to publish this book. As you see it there, that's a mock-up, and it'll be 230 pages. It'll contain color, and it's 6x9. It's a very compact format for a good usable guidebook by travelers and tourists. And so that will be published a year from now in conjunction and fit right in with the startup operation of the Maritime Washington National Heritage Area. So we've got a lot of great benefits that are all coming together and providing a critical mass for this new marketing and economic and tourism development activity. And we're very pleased to be part of it. So thank you. We appreciate your attention. And again, any questions?
I have one, Commissioner Downing, if I can.
Go for it, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. So on the regional public workshops, how do people pre-register for that? Is there a website to go to? And so can you, because I didn't see it in any of the material,
Yeah.
but I want to make sure if people are interested, as I am, that we get pre-registered and attend so we can hear the discussion and that type of thing.
Yeah, good point. That's part of what anchor organizations will do. And so we will be sending that information out to all of our organizations and the individuals that that want to participate in that workshop. So we'll take care of that.
So that, would that be something that Sam would put on our webpage as a point of information for those interested?
Indeed. So we are going to be pushing it out across our social media, our various listservs, and placing it on our webpage as appropriate. So Jenny Folia-Jones is the staff lead on this. And so she's working directly with Park Service and others to get those materials out. So you'll start to see those here probably very soon. I think the meeting's coming up later this month.
Right. Okay. And the other comments are just I'm very excited about the Parthia and the opportunity that it presented, and the fact that you jumped on that and that we were able to be a part of that process. And I'm looking forward to being a hallmark icon down there at the farmers market, and I'm excited to see that all happen. And thank you to all of those that have worked on the National Heritage Maritime Association thing. That 3,000 miles of waterfront. And so it's all exciting stuff, and appreciate all the hard work that has gone into that by many citizens. And so thank you to Chuck and Dawn for that.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Zeta, do you have a comment or question?
So I see that there's a lot of interest and excitement in maritime history, and you guys have done a lot of work and raised a lot of money and mobilized a lot of volunteers. So congratulations. Could we look at slides 12 and 13? Start with slide 12. Great. So the top two benefits that you've called out are to share the rich stories, past and present, of our saltwater shores, and to build partnerships between organizations, industries, and governments. And I see that there's a lot of interest in your effectively building partnerships and sharing stories about colonial and industrial maritime history. The longest period of marine heritage in this area was with the original mariners, that is the native people, the ancestors of the Medicine Creek Treaty Tribes. And I'm not seeing them represented here except for that one photo of a canoe journey. If we go down to the next slide, I'm wondering how the history of native mariners is honored and how Medicine Creek Treaty Tribes are consulted in this process.
Well, that has been a very active function of the Washington Trust for Historic Preservation. And as I indicated, many tribes are involved, and there are Native Salish members of the steering committee, of the overall steering committee. And I think that we are well aware of the history of the Native Salish tribes, including the Squaxin tribe. They were here first before we European Americans came. And you can be assured that that will be included in the heritage area. There is an active outreach effort to do that. So I think that this is not just an activity since 1792, when the first European Americans explored this area. We are well aware that we need to include and will include that history beginning from time immemorial.
Thanks for that question, Commissioner Zeta. Chuck, I had a question for you or Mr. Chalmers, and that is that are you in communication with City of Olympia over the submarine artifacts that may or may not be coming our way? You know, some of the port commissioners might be interested in that. And I was just wondering if you're working with them, because I envision down the road a maritime heritage walk that includes all aspects from the original Native American tribes to more recent industrial exhibits to, namesake submarines that were named after our city. So what's your comment on that, please?
I'll let Don.
I can start out and let Chuck talk a little more about it. I know he's got a lot more background when it comes to the actual linkages between those items and the history of our area. Of course, our association is always going to be open to advancing our mission. That's what we're all about, is maritime heritage. I think if we're put in a position where the items might be lost to the area, we'd have to look long and hard about how we can help make that process work. If one jurisdiction says that's not something they're interested in, we'd have to look long and hard about making sure that we're doing what we can to protect those assets from leaving the area altogether. At the same time, we have to recognize the resources that we have available, and we'd want to work in partnership with others to help substantiate or support that kind of effort. We couldn't do it alone, that's for sure. And again, I think, Chuck, you've got a lot more information about how those specific items have a relationship to maritime heritage in our area. You may want to comment on that as well.
Well, so far we have not been involved with the city in the disposition of those artifacts. So we do have some ideas on how one or more of the artifacts might be employed as part of the history, but we need to have those ongoing discussions beginning as soon as possible.
Well, yeah, thanks. I mean, I think that the certain exhibits lend themselves to waterfront display, and waterfront display areas are, somewhat limited in our city due to private ownership or what have you. So I think it's important that I'm hoping that the three entities, your organization, plus the City of Olympia, plus the Port of Olympia, when there's opportunities to dovetail and come together on things like that, we could do that, because I think that that's not the end of, there could be another tugboat that shows up. There could be other maritime artifacts. And I think, Chuck, in my conversations with you over the last couple of years, I mean, the vision is to create a national maritime heritage walkway through the parts of the city and parts of the port. So.
Right. So I think we have some great opportunities, and we just have to find out how those items might fit together. This is not a unique situation. There are other parts of submarines and other vessels displayed in other communities. And so we have some precedent for how that could be handled, but we need to have a thorough discussion of that, as Don has said, and its impact on the South Maritime Heritage Association.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other questions for Chuck or Mr. Chalmers? Don?
Well, thank you. Thanks again for letting us be a part of your meeting today, and we look forward to our ongoing partnership with the port in advancing our kindred missions.
Great. I just want to say good luck to you in meeting your fundraising goal. We're so excited. The port has already participated by finding a piece of land for your the mighty Parthia. So we're looking forward to seeing that come to fruition.
Great. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, then. We're going to move on to our next work session item, which is port website preview with our own Jenny Folia-Jones. Hi, Jenny.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Can you hear me okay? All right. So I'm Jenny Folia-Jones, Senior Manager of Communications, Marketing, and Government Affairs. And yes, I'm very excited to be here today to finally get to show you and the public our new website. As you will recall, we awarded the contract for redoing our website to Flow State Creatives in March of 2020. And so over the past year, we had the large undertaking of basically completely redesigning the website. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Flow State Creatives for enduring this process with us, and definitely doing what I think is a fabulous job in reaching our goals for that website. And I also want to give a lot of credit to Lori Watson, who is one of our staff members who has been instrumental in this process of making sure that we understand how to now work on the website back end and making sure that we can post things and get everything ready to go, as well as Aspen and Emily too for their role in helping with this process. Many other staff were involved in this, but there's too many to name specifically. So I'm really excited to be able to show this to you. Let's see if my screen share works here. It looks like it will. Can you all see this? Are you seeing my screen now? Okay, perfect. So yes, so our website, our new website launched on March 22nd, and I'm sorry, I lied about that. March 30th, sorry, March 30th, and we are up and running now. And so if you go to portolympia.com, this is the homepage that you will come to. So today I was just going to briefly run through the homepage and the commission page, and I wanted to showcase to the public, especially, just how they can access our meetings through a lot of various avenues. And then I also wanted to be responsive to the comments that we heard with the individual one-on-one overviews of the website that I did with each of you commissioners. I wanted to show you the changes that we made from what we heard from you. So on our website homepage here, you'll see this is what you'll come to across the top. We have a red bar that lets you easily access our operations here. So you can get into those sections pretty easy. But we also have the main administrative side of the website headers here. So we have an About Us drop down, which has categories from commission, contracting, finance, leadership, planning, public records, job opportunities, and then a staff directory. Under the community section, you will find events. Environmental section will be there, places and spaces, our Port of Olympia Citizens Advisory Committee, port tours, and then request a speaker sections are there. And then under Stay Informed, this is where you'll find our newsroom, as well as the ability to sign up for all of our emails or newsletters that we have available, those lists. And then I did want to mention that Commissioner McGregor, you had requested an easy access link to the commission meeting schedule on the Stay Informed drop down, so that's there. And then Commissioner Zita, you had requested the public comment drop down, easy access, so we have added those both to this section here. So as I go through, I do want to call out that we also added this box here. It's a quick link to the next commission meeting. So if you select this button, it'll take you right into the next commission meeting information, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a little bit. Each page, or most pages I should say, will have what I call these icon buttons, and they are going to change depending on the page that you're on. So what we did is we went through and we selected what we thought would be kind of the things that people were most looking for in that section of the website, and we made them really easily accessible graphic buttons here for them. So you'll see that there's a commission button link here, as well as you can access it from the drop down to get into the commission page as well. Again, you can access the meetings from this button, calling out this little header here, as well as on the Stay Informed, there's two options to get you into the commission page information as well. As we scroll through the home page here, we have an overview, which has links again to our commercial sites as well. And then as you continue to go down, you'll have our news and events, which is where you'll see our ship announcements, our press releases, our newsletters, anything like that will be published here, similar to our old homepage, how we had a news and events kind of tickler that ran. And then we do have a main port calendar. So this will, right now, it's showcasing only the April, on April here, we only have the commission meeting scheduled because we don't have any community events yet. This is where we will be putting up the event that that Chuck was just, and Don were just referring to. So I'll add that on the 29th to the April calendar here. And then what you can do is people can sort. If they only want to see commission meetings, they can sort by commission, which is the only thing we have right now. But once we start adding community events in or outreach opportunities, such as like, for instance, the Destination Waterfront public meetings that we were doing, those type of things, we will have different categories that people can sort and filter the calendar so they can see different views, or they have the option to see everything in one view. And so when we add the one on the 29th, it will add a new category up here that then it can populate on a category under just, I'll probably put that as a community event calendar item here, since it's not a port outreach event. As we continue to move down, we have a little bit of information just about, you know, what is a port, and then we do have a direct link into the 3 port commissioners section of the Port Commission page, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a moment. So coming back up to the calendar, another way that people can reach the commission meeting information is they can click on this meeting, and it will pop open a box here that has the agenda and another remote access link for the meeting that we're currently sitting in right now. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do on the commission page. Once I go over to there, I'll show you kind of some other different features of that. So if I click into the commissions page, we have, again, you'll see that the graphic buttons have changed. So now these are quick links to be able to pop down to our meeting schedule. We also have a link into our commission meeting videos. We have a quick link down to the agendas and meeting section, a link to our Citizens Advisory Committee pages, which I should have referenced because they are located here on the community section. We have a link, but that page actually lives under the commission section. So if you do a pop out here, they actually are a subset of commission, but we have a link under community of ways to get involved with the port access there. And then we also have a link on planning as well. So as we can continue to scroll down, of course, we have our governor's proclamation for COVID right now showing. Once we're out of this time and this is no longer needed, we will be putting something else in this section here. We do have, again, another remote meeting link right here under how to access the remote meeting. And then under the public comment, we have the information on public comment. And right now we currently have a link to email commission coordinator, which will direct email over to Aspen. But we are actually going to be changing this to a form. So Commissioner Zita, I heard you when we were talking and you were wanting there to be some sort of a way for people to fill out a form that then made it really easy for Aspen to be able to collate that information and not have to worry about getting individual emails and just make it a cleaner process. So a form is going to allow someone to fill out their public comment if they want to give a written one, and or select whether they want to speak at the meeting and give verbal public comment. So they'll be able to fill out the form. It will then get sent over, and on the back end of the website is where Aspen can then go in at noon on the meeting date and be able to download all of those into an Excel spreadsheet that then has it nice and neat for her to be able to see what are the public comments, how to, what that came in, and then also who does want to speak. And so it's just going to be a lot easier for her to be able to manage that, and there won't be any possibility of a possible missed email coming through or anything like that. So that's how we're going to make the change, and I'm hoping that change is made by tomorrow. So you'll see a slightly different format here. And then as we go through the overview here, this is just talking about port commissioners, and then it does have a quick link to some commission goals as well as the strategic plan as well. And then now we're back down into the meeting section. So this is where I want to show you a lot of different ways that we've kind of collated information here for you. So here we have another remote meeting link access, and all of these are all connected. So the nice thing is that Aspen needs to only go in and put it in one spot, and it populates all of these buttons together. So there's no opportunity for the buttons to be accidentally like one updated and one not. So it will update everything all together. Under the commission meeting videos, here we have the recent commission meeting videos, which takes you to our YouTube channel, which is where we're currently storing everything. If you want to see a video prior to February 1st, depending on the meeting date that you're looking for, then it'll take you into this button here will take you into our old system that housed them. You could also sign up for the meeting notices here as well. Now, over here on this calendar side, this here is, you'll see that Aspen has populated all of the April meetings onto the calendar view. This calendar view is being fed by that front page calendar, the home page calendar. So everything that's on there that's selected for the commission is going to populate this calendar here. As we go into this, if I say view details, this takes you into that same view that I showed you when I clicked on the one on the front home page. You've got the remote meeting link and you've got the agenda. Now, we also heard, Commissioner Zita, I heard you, sorry, I gotta move this here. When you were saying that you wanted an easy spot for people to be able to access everything all together for one meeting. And so what we've done is we've created this past meetings link. So the past meeting, right now, the only thing that we've populated right now is March 22nd's meeting. So if you go past meetings, you view details, what it has here, the remote meeting link will be removing, but what it has here is it has a link to the agenda. When the minutes are approved, right now this is a placeholder saying that they're coming soon, but when the commission has finalized them, approved them, then they will be loaded to this as well. And then the meeting video link is also stored here. So hopefully that is a nice spot where everyone can find the agenda, the minutes, resolutions, if there's any resolutions that go with it would be linked here also. And then the commission meeting video link in one spot, easy for people to find. Now, if I come down to the resources section, we still have a repository where we put the agendas, the minutes, and the resolutions separately by date. So for instance, the agendas here, if I do a view all, it takes you into this file manager, and then I can sort by all the years that we have stored here. So we do have the past 5 years on the website. And so click into 2021, I can toggle this and get a latest, most recent at the top view. So you can do sorting on all different sort features you can do here too. This will still live here, even though we're going to be attaching them to those meeting notice view all, where it puts everything together in that calendar view. They're still also going to be sorted here for people to find. So you're not going to lose this feature by putting them all in that. It's just going to be another way for people to find the information that they're looking for. And my back button isn't working here, so let me get back in here. The other thing, same with the minutes and the resolutions, are all in that same file structure as well. So people can sort through the dates there if they want to just find them quickly that way, or they can go to the past meetings and locate them together. And then this is the commissioner section I referenced on the home page. That bottom link will take you to each one of your sections. And I apologize, Commissioner McGregor, I don't know why we have like an old headshot of you. I was just looking at this. We do have a more current one. I know that you just came in for another new one, so we'll get the most current ones of everybody's here updated soon. So if I were to click here, each one of you, it has your districts listed, and then it also has your contact information. If I were to select one of you here, it also has the information, your name, your current role with the Port Commission, any current committees that you're sitting on behalf of the port. If you provided us some community involvement, we do have that listed. We have the bio that was provided to us, as well as education listed if that was provided. So each one of you has a separate page here. And then again, your contact information is listed as well. And these are all clickable links. So if someone accessed this on their mobile phone, they could select your phone number, it would auto dial. And then of course, if I selected this, it would open my email to you. So that's the really, really quick overview of the sections I wanted to show you today, but please let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Jenny. Very nice presentation. I'm going to ask my fellow commissioners if you've got any questions or comments.
There we go. I have a couple if I could. Can you go to that list where it showed the 5 or 6 years of what's stored out there?
Sure.
I think it was 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you go to, now that one's in reverse order, right?
It's because I can switch.
Okay, well, anyway, Can you go to 2020 and click on that? Maybe it got fixed. I don't know. But
Sure. It's loading, sorry.
You go down to the very end.
Down the very end, or
It
you want me-
used, well, it used to show 9/28 commission meeting was the very last entry, but there were other dates above that were like November and December. And I'm just wondering why it shows at the end and not
Oh,
in chronological order. So that may have gotten.
oh, I
fixed.
see that. Okay, I see. It's a naming convention. When we moved all of these files over, we realized that they were named differently on our system here. And then, of course, when we populated them on the front view of our old website, we would just name them to have them be whatever we wanted them to be the same. And we lost that, so it pulled over everything that the original document was named on our system. And so we've had to go in and kind of rename them so that they all fall in order. So that was just one that, thank you. It looks like it was missed, and I will have that moved, and I'll also ask them to move the revised maybe after the date, so that this also falls in chronological order, so that it's with the original and then revised right after.
Okay, that was just
Thank
one.
you. Yeah.
So, okay, and then under commission meeting schedule, where it shows the blocks and it shows April 5th, April 12th, and that, can you go to that for a minute?
Sure.
Is there any reason we can't put like April 5th commission work session underneath that, put the time? So people can say, oh, I've missed that now. Or if we have a special meeting, we might have it at a different time than normal, but rather than going to the detail, can it be put on that page so people can see it right up
Sure,
front?
I would think so. I'll check to see if that's something that we can do. As I said, we're still learning all of the
Yeah,
things we can and can't do on this, but yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, and then the last one I have at this point is under the community button. I think if you go up to the community button on the blue line, I guess.
Yep.
Click on it. Say it says, okay, now go over to About Us. And
Sure.
it says, where is it? Maybe it's under Commission. Okay, it says Citizens Advisory Committee. If we go to Community, it says POCAC. And I think they both should be labeled the same. And I think Citizen Advisory Committee is a better way to name it.
Yeah.
So, okay. That was the three I caught just doing the presentation. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I should have mentioned that we tried to make this as close to perfect as we could before launch, but we know that we're going to continue to find things and tweak it for months to come. So I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you. Good job.
Commissioner Zeta, anything?
Well, Jenny and Lori, thanks for all your work on this. And thanks for implementing some of the suggestions that Commissioner McGregor and I made, like the button for commission meetings and the button for public comment. I agree with Commissioner McGregor. It'd be great to have the date on that page. Can we go back to that page where it has multiple meetings? Yeah. And I'm going to send you the link again for the City of Tumwater's meeting page, because that has been recommended to us by multiple parties, including legal counsel, as a good example, as a one-stop shop for all the information, where you've got the meeting time, date, place, the packet, the minutes, the video, everything on one page, so people don't have to go clicking around looking for where's the minutes, where's the video, where's the packet, everything for all the meetings on one page, nice and simple. So I'm going to send that to you again, and recommend that we consider having that page, because so people don't have to do lots of clicking and lots of digging to find stuff like that. Thanks for all the work you've done.
Thanks, Jenny. I got a couple of comments. One is I've already had a chance to use the website because I go in there to get certain pieces of information. And so one comment is that it loads a lot faster. So I think that the money that we spent to redo our website, we've come up with, just like anything technology oriented, as the years go by, technology gets better and better. So, you know, I think that things load really fast. I appreciate that. I also appreciate that it's very intuitive, and I like the buttons. You go to some cities' websites and they've got too much information on their page, and so you have to really little fine print and so on and so forth. And so this is to me pretty understandable and clear. And I think you heard what the commission said about making it easier to find the link to Zoom meetings, commission work sessions, or commission meetings. So, you know, I'm very pleased. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jenny, anything else for us? Or, you know, I mean, you did mention that you're continuing to monitor it and of course, you know, revising a few things here and there. So that's to be expected. And I think that's great work also. So.
Thank you.
Well, good. All right, then. Well, thank you, Jenny, for getting us through that in 20 minutes instead of 30. I think we're going to go ahead and move to our third agenda item, which is the Port EDC program. And we have our own Jerry Severe talking to us today.
Commissioner Downing, could I just point out that you may not see Executive Director Gibney did have her hand raised that she wanted to provide comment.
I did not see that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioners, for that. And I just wanted to give another round of gratitude and thanks to the staff for this project. As you know, it was authorized for 2020, and Jenny was kind of out the door with it and got it contracted and ready to go. And then COVID hit, and trust me, there were a lot of things on her and her staff's plate for communication in those early months, and yet she's been able to keep this on track and really bringing in just a couple months beyond its original schedule, and that is just a remarkable feat. And so I just wanted to give her extra recognition for being able to accomplish this overhaul in the midst of the tremendous year that we had last year.
Thank you, Sam, for those comments. Thank you. Okay, Jerry, you're up. Thank you.
Right. Good afternoon, commissioners. I wanted to just provide you with a little bit of an advisory as you get prepared for your meeting coming up on April 19th. So next slide, please. So starting with the background, it's been a while since the Port Commission has met with the Port Economic Development Corporation. And I actually went back and just kind of did a little research to remind all of us what this, when it was formed and what we were doing with it. So again, this was formed back in 1981, and the purpose of the corporation was to facilitate local economic development and employment opportunities. This is under the RCW 39.84. And back in 1998 and 1999, the Port EDC issued some industrial revenue bonds to LeMay, Ostrom, and Spring Air. And I did a little research because I know there hasn't been much income coming in for these in quite some time. And both the LeMay and Ostrom bonds have been paid off, and there's just a little bit remaining on Spring Air. So back then we did these industrial revenue bonds, and then we were having some proceeds coming in and said, what are we going to do with the money that's coming in? So the Port EDC set some criteria on how to use those proceeds from those bonds back in 2000. Next slide, please. So then from that came the small city program that was formulated in 2011, and thought, you know, we could use some of the proceeds that we were getting in from these bonds to help local economic development. And that worked for a few years, and the Port EDC issued quite a few grants to the different small cities. But then in 2017, the bond proceeds were mostly used up, and the Port EDC didn't really have any money left. So the Port Commission decided that they would take over the program, and we moved that small city program to be funded by the Port of Olympia. The bonds that were used were for issuing industrial development revenue bonds, which are tax exempt for public corporations. And it was able to give them a much lower interest rate. But with interest rates the way they've been for, gosh, the last 10, 15 years, there really has been no use for public entities to use this. However, in the future, there might be, the interest rates might go back up again, and it might be another reason why they would want to use our IDRB bonds. Next slide, please. So looking back at the Port EDC, we have some bylaws that were set, and it does require that the Port EDC have an annual meeting. And in 2019 or 2020, we didn't hold a meeting because of COVID. And we ended up canceling the small city program that year. So we're actually probably out of compliance, but I think we could probably have a good excuse of why we did that. So this year we have scheduled that annual meeting, and the bylaws also allow for 5 members. And so it's the 3 port commissioners, and then there's 2 members at large. So the small cities program, although it's administered by the port, provided a reason to hold the annual meeting. And so what we had done was that the small cities program would still go to the Port EDC first, and those presentations would be given to them. And then the Port EDC would make recommendations to the Port Commission, which, you know, is pretty much the same entity, but passing that along. And so there are, you know, options. If the commission doesn't want to meet annually, you could amend your bylaws to say we're going to meet on an as needed basis if desired. And I did want to let you know that one of those members at large resigned in 2020. So we currently are sitting at 4 members on this board. Next slide, please. So we do have this upcoming annual meeting set for April 19th. And at that meeting, there'll be an election of officers. In the past, it's just been upheld that whatever the Port Commission is, that's what the officers are there, but that's completely up to you to decide at that meeting and do that election. There are some minutes from the 2019 meeting that was never approved because we didn't meet in 2020. And again, you'll have that decision on whether or not you want to appoint another member at large to bring the council back up to 5. We're working on an annual financial report, although there's been very, very little financial activity in the past few years. Matt's just trying to bring up to date what we have. And then there'll be the small cities program and a presentation by the small city mayors or a representative. The actual due date of these applications is today. And so right now, as of a few minutes ago, we had applications in from Yelm, Rainier, and Bakota, and we are expecting to get one from Tenino by the end of the day. We know all of them are working on them and are working to get those in. And again, then at that Port EDC meeting, the Port EDC would then make a recommendation to the Port Commission on awarding these small city awards. And then completely right after this meeting, you will go into a port work session, whereas then you'll have pretty much the same presentation that was given to you at the Port EDC. And then it will go to the Port Commission for approval or awarding of the grant money to the small cities at the following meeting, which I believe is April 26th. So next slide, please. So I just wanted to remind you where we're at with this. It's been a while since you've met, and it's been a while since there's been any activity. So wanted to just bring you up to date as you go into that meeting on the 19th, you're prepared and understand where we're at with everything. So now I'm available to answer any questions that I can answer for you, and also a time for commissioners to have a discussion if you want to see something different in your April 19th meeting or any meeting coming up.
Thanks, Jerry. Commissioners, any questions of Jerry on that presentation?
I have some, but if Commissioner Zeta has some, I'm still writing some notes down, so.
Okay, I'll go first then, if
ahead.
you don't mind. I see Zeta deferred. And so Jerry, how do we come up with this extra person? You know, do we each bring names to the meeting, or are you going to suggest a person or two, or how does that work in advance of the meeting?
Yes, there is not a prescribed way in the bylaws on how that happens. And I recall it happening. I mean, I was here when we appointed the 2 members that were there and have been for the last probably 10 years or so. And it was just commissioners bringing names forward and obviously checking with the citizens at large in advance to make sure that's something they'd be interested in. And then the commissioners have brought names forward and they've discussed them, and made an appointment. So however you as commissioners wish to do that, I don't think there's any one way of doing it. And I'm not sure right now that staff has anyone that we would bring forward, but if you want us to, we could certainly look at that and come forward with some names, but we have not been preparing for that.
Thank you. I'm perfectly fine with bringing a name or two forward. How about you, fellow commissioners, on this subject?
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I did have a couple of suggestions. Now that I've collected my thoughts on it, put it down. I'm interested. I mean, I think we need to keep the Port EDC active as far as having it as an established program that the port can offer in the future should the necessary interest rates or their interest rates raised above what is practical, such as they did way back when it was established. It allows that opportunity for businesses to take advantage of. I think that's worthwhile keeping. I think it's worthwhile keeping it at 5 members, and I think bringing names forward is fine. I would suggest that we amend the bylaws on that EDC resolution to as needed rather than requiring a every year annual meeting, because there's not any activity under that other than the small cities program. And really the small cities program, while it started in the Port EDC because of the funding mechanism, it is now being funded out of the port's general funds moving forward since about, was it 2017, I think Jerry mentioned. So I'm just wondering, it seems kind of redundant. We have a meeting with the Port EDC, the cities to provide a presentation, and then right after that meeting, we have a meeting and the cities provide the presentation to the 3 commissioners. And then on the following commission regular schedule, then we take action and the 3 commissioners then decide to award or not award based on that. So it seems like it's taking 3 meetings to get to a decision. And I'm just wondering if removing this or pulling it out of the EDC and putting it in as only as part of the Port Commission action, because I think it's a capital line item in our budget at this point. If I'm not, I don't know if it's capital, but I think it is. Where is it found? Under
Special projects of the commission.
the
It's funded out of the
commission,
tax
right.
levy.
Right. So I think we should do some work on this and kind of clean it up a little bit so it's not so difficult to work through, holding 3 meetings to accomplish what really 2 meetings could accomplish. And so anyway, that's my recommendation, that maybe it be a work session subject to see if we can't streamline it a little bit. So anyway, I think
And
right
if that-
now, I'm sorry, I think right now we have to move with the way it is set up until we make those changes. But I think it's something we need to have a discussion on at some point. So.
Yeah, and I think when reading the bylaws, it's up to 5 members. So if the EDC is not going to be meeting for any time soon, then maybe appointing a new member now might not be what we want to do, because it's not really going to have any reason to ever meet, and maybe wait until there's actually activity required of the EDC in order to have, someone serve on that board. But
And I believe, if my memory serves me correct, that these 2 citizens are they 2-year terms, and that they can be renewed, or is it 4 years and they can be renewed, or something like that? So,
yeah, I believe it's 2 years, and they're supposed to be reappointed every 2
Reappointed.
years.
right.
And I'm not sure actually whether they were reappointed in 2019 or not. We'll need to look.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my comments anyway. I think we should be taking a look at it.
Commissioner Zeta, do you have anything to weigh in on this topic? No? Okay. So Commissioner McGregor, I've noted your desire for a work session topic on the EDC bylaws. So
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And I want to appreciate the staff moving forward and sending out notices to the cities to get their responses back in. Last year we had to cancel and not do this program. And I know that they had projects they would have liked to have worked on, but with just all the COVID confusion going on early on in the year, it just, we just felt better to pull back, and they understood. And I know in talking with a couple of them, they're appreciative of the fact that we're trying to reinstitute this and move forward. So thank you, Jerry, for moving that on.
Thanks, Jerry. So just to paraphrase or reiterate, it's your recommendation that we not expand the EDC board to 5 people at this time until we
Well,
have
I
more to
think-
work with.
Yeah, I think you should have that work session and decide at the work session what you want to do, but maybe not looking at reappointing someone at this next meeting, because until you have the work session, you probably need to know how often you're planning to meet and that sort of thing. And I will look at the last time we appointed our current member, Dan Newhouser, still on there. So if he needs to be reappointed at the April 19th meeting, we'll have that on the agenda. But if that was done, well, it would probably need to be done, because if last time we met was 2019, so he'll probably need to be reappointed. But whether or not you want to appoint another member, knowing that we may or may not be meeting regularly, I don't know.
So looking at my handy dandy cheat sheet produced by Aspen as a summary of our retreat 2 or 3 weeks back. In the work session, commissioners will vote to direct staff's work on procedural matters. So I moved to ask my fellow commissioners, does that sound good? Do we agree that we want to postpone filling that fifth position until we have a work session on the bylaws? Okay, I'm good with that too. Okay, we're good with that. So there's some direction. Thank you. And thank you, Jerry, for that presentation. It's nice to have that heads up for what we're getting into on the upcoming meeting.
So I have a question for Jerry. Is that clear? Everything clear for you?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe that we will still need to reappoint Dan Newhouser at the 19th meeting, but we'll not be bringing anyone
Right.
forward until after the work session for the 5th appointment.
Thanks, Jerry. We're going to move on to our next topic then, if there's nothing else. Next topic is upcoming topics and agenda items, and our own Sam Gibney will be leading this conversation.
Commissioners, did you want to consider the other business before we got to this point?
Well, we
Did-
made an agenda and, you know, I think we gave Commissioner Zeta 5 minutes on other business, not
Okay.
knowing what that might be. Therefore, you know, I'm moved to talk about your business, and then we'll get
Okay.
to,
Great.
thank you though.
Okay, fine. You can go to the next slide. So for our next meeting on April 12th, we have one topic now, and this is to review that. You know, I've been keeping a tab of work session topics, like, and I'll have the one that we've added today for a work session on the EDC bylaws, et cetera. I do want to just do some housekeeping there, and to make sure that we have clear direction from the commission, as well as to give you a preview of kind of how I'm scheduling these out over the months. So that will be under action other. I will be looking to have a series of motions for topics that have been brought forward by one commissioner, just to verify that it is indeed the will of the commission that we keep those topics on as work sessions. So bit of housekeeping and making sure that we're that staff has all the topics that the commission wishes to see.
Well, I'm a
Go
little
ahead.
confused because I think that I'm wondering if we're not talking at least a little bit about future topics today.
Indeed, but we have other topics that have been added at the request of one commissioner. And so I just want to make sure that we have the will of the commission being represented, and again, to make sure that I'm not dropping anything. So it's a bit of a housekeeping item, but it is also a way to make sure that our efforts are aligned with the commission. So I have a whole list of topics that we've been making sure that I've got everything on there.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll just have to say, Sam, that, you know, after you get done talking, I'm going to talk about topics for the next 2 work sessions, because my understanding is that when we, the commission, come together like this at a work session, you know, we give you an idea, you know, we may or may not give you an idea of what our preference is. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Indeed.
I want to also correct you that it's not just one commissioner. I can think of at least 2 commissioners that are interested in certain topics to bring forth at a work session.
Absolutely. All 3 of you have topics on it. So I've received them by email and other things. So it's a way to bring those lists together and to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah. I also want to notify you that we may have, we're putting the agenda out this way, and but we may be revising the agenda with a piece of timely business. We're not sure whether or not that is going to be ready to go for the 12th. So that's why we have not placed it on, but it is timely enough that if the customer is ready to proceed, then it will require commission action. And so we may be revising this agenda as soon as we put it out. Okay, next slide, please. So then on the 19th, we have a busy day there. We have as Jerry just described, the special meeting of the Port EDC with the Small Cities Program being presented. And then for the work session, we also have a potential lease and FAA request from the Thurston County Housing Authority, I think I have it backwards, the Housing Authority of Thurston County. We have also, I'm speaking with Mary Hall, the county auditor. She has requested a presentation on the county redistricting and that process. She wants to inform the commission of her process there, as well as some differences from years past because of delays in the census, et cetera. We also have an update on the ferry lay berth from Lynn that will be discussed, and then our usual upcoming topics and agenda items. Next slide. On the 26th, then we'll have that Port EDC. This is where the actual awards are made and you take action on those. We then have a resolution for delegating authority to the executive director or their designee for operational interlocal agreements with select agencies. That's going to be for things like derelict vessels and the correctionals folks that we use to do landscaping and things about the properties. So we'll be bringing that forward for your consideration. And then we'll have the 2020 financial report, the annual financial report presentation. Next slide. And then this is my running list. I will tell you that I've already added some from today and other places of items that I'm keeping for work sessions in particular. And so I'm starting to really try to schedule those out for the coming months. And I'll be giving you a preview of that next week of how those are starting to lay out. And I believe that's the last slide. And if you have any questions.
So I have, okay, oh, sorry. Fellow commissioners, do you have any questions about what Sam has presented?
Can you go back to slide 2, I think it is? I just want to understand. So originally, I thought my understanding was that we have the EDC meeting and then they, depending on what we hear from the various entities, we decide at that to send it on to the commission for their consideration, and that would also happen on the 19th. In our previous discussion, I thought that's what I understood. Then on the 26th, it would be brought forward for approval by the commission. Is that not what I heard before?
Let me see.
That's what Jerry said, I
I'm
thought.
gonna see if Jerry is still on the line here. And,
Yes, I am.
okay,
So yes, I think the last time we went through this, we took it off of the 19th, but I went back and looked at our notes and it would come to the EDC meeting and then the port work session following that, and then for approval on the 26th. So we'll need to add this to the 19th.
Okay.
But I think the presentation from the mayors, it looks like that is only done at the EDC meeting, and it's basically the recommendation from the port EDC to the port commission that happens at the 19th at the work session. So it's very cumbersome, I agree.
Right.
But they only will give one presentation, and that is to the port EDC.
Okay. So it'll show up 3 times.
It will.
Yes. Okay. So my other question or comment is, Sam, is to make sure that we're trying to get as much information into these work sessions as possible, so that if we're meeting for 2 hours, we want to make sure that we're filling the time and not, and so, and I leave that up to Commissioner Downing and you to kind of put that together and figure out timing on some of these, because we're starting to get a little bit, and I don't want to use that word. I better not use that word. We're starting to get backed up on our session upcoming topic agendas. So anyway, I just would like to see us move some of these forward. And if it's only a 10 or 15 minutes, let's just plan on it and move expeditiously through some of these items in the work session. So I understand that there are some resource issues and people putting things together and getting them together, but I would really appreciate we get that unassigned work session number down to 1 or 2 at the most, but really fill the space and be as efficient as we can in the time that we have together. So thank you. That's appreciate that.
Commissioner McGregor, I'd just like to say something in defense of our executive director, which is that, it's hard to work through the list if more items are showing up than we have work session time. I mean, I think your comments, towards efficiency are well put. But I just do want to say that, we've had a good 3, 4, 5 items show up in the last week, which are work session items. And so I appreciate Sam trying to prioritize these,
Yeah, no, and I wasn't trying to indicate that we're not getting, that it was not being held efficiently, but I just want to make sure, like today, we're going to get done probably a half hour before 4:30. So maybe there was something else. I mean, it's hard to predict how long some of these presentations are going, but I guess I'd rather see them on there. And if it took an extra 10 minutes of our meeting time to get something off, I'm okay with that. Or if it gets to be too lengthy and it goes over the time limits because of the subject matter, we can always table an item until a following work session, but at least anyway, just trying to keep things moving along. Okay,
good.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. No intention of offending anybody or needing to defend anybody. I understand how the process works and I fully appreciate it. Thank you.
So Commissioner Zeta, anything relating to our upcoming schedule that you want to speak about?
Yeah, so going over these meeting topics it's an important part of our work. It lets us plan future meetings more efficiently. And it's great to see this list of topics in the work session packet. The list is always changing, and it would be very useful if we would get this list by email every week. We see it here in the work session. We see some of this on the screen at port commission meetings. It's often not in the packet at commission meetings. And so I don't know about you guys, but I end up doing screen grabs at the commission meeting. And we shouldn't have to do that. So I would really be grateful if we could get these lists by email as we did a couple years ago. I don't know how other commissioners feel about that. Maybe Commissioner Downing still gets these because you're the chair, but I don't know if you're getting these, Commissioner McGregor, but I'm not getting these by email.
Yeah, I know I'm not getting any more information than you, Commissioner Zeta. Obviously, I do check in with Sam, quite frequently as the chair. But Sam, do you want to? Wasn't there a past history of sending out an email with, a spreadsheet showing meetings by date?
Yeah, I mean, we've done that ever since you and I have been on the commission, Commissioner Downing, and it's very useful.
Yeah, since I've joined the organization, when I met with commissioners in person before COVID, I would give you a hard copy of the master schedule. I can send out a weekly PDF of that. I do. I'm going to say it's really easy to lose version control of those. So I will definitely send them out to you by PDF and keep you up to date, recognizing that they are constantly changing.
That would be really useful.
Happy to do so.
And also the meeting announcements that are in the packet that we don't get in hard copy, it would be so useful if those could be written down somewhere so we don't have to do screen grabs to get that information. I think that could all be part of the same thing.
I'm not sure. Are you talking about just the last PowerPoint slide?
Mm-hmm.
I think, for all intents and purposes, that's represented on the new website where people can go, and it's like all the upcoming meetings are right there. So I think that serves the same purpose.
It would be very useful if that information could be provided in the same format that it is provided on the screen. I don't know why it can't be in the packet or why it can't be emailed to commissioners.
The only reason we just do it because we wait till do it the day of to make sure that we have the latest. It's the only reason.
Well, I'm requesting that information be shared with commissioners, please. I don't know if any other commissioners would find that useful, but I sure would.
Yep. So Commissioner Zeta, can you just restate that? I'm not sure I'm following what you're requesting. So
yeah, I'm requesting that staff email to commissioners the list of upcoming meetings that is shown on the screen at our commission meetings. I would love to see that made available to the public too. I don't know if that's possible, but definitely would like to get that to commissioners.
So I'm going to assume that Commissioner Zeta has made a motion to have an email with all the upcoming meetings mailed to her once a week. Is there a second for that motion?
Well, I don't know if we can take action at a work session, but we can certainly express our preference.
This is a formal way of expressing preference, Commissioner Zeta.
Great.
So
Yeah,
yes,
I
we
would
can.
propose that all commissioners get that information.
I'll second that for purposes of discussion. My discussion is that, as I said earlier in today's meeting, I think the website is super quick and, well laid out and, shows all the upcoming meetings. So, I'm good with that, Commissioner Zeta. So that's my discussion.
I am too. The new website's going to have all the dates and the time and the whether it's a work session, regular session or schedule or special meeting. And that's all up there for the public to view, and they can certainly get it. And then Sam provides that also at the end of the meeting for our regular meetings. I don't see a need to provide another email or whatever with the information that's readily available. So
I hope that information will be readily available now.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for that. So I had a question for you, Sam.
Commissioner, if I might, said you had a motion on the floor. Do you just
Yeah.
want
Okay,
to?
yeah, good,
yeah.
good. It's been moved and seconded that we send in, that the executive director send an email each week showing a list of all the upcoming meetings. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Okay. So I had a question for you, Sam, which is, so the West Bay Yards project, I saw that written down somewhere, but that's not on a particular work session at this time. Is that correct?
That is correct. I have been in a contact with a representative, and they want to come either later in May or early June. So I do have it on the list. I am working to schedule it, but the representative's request is that we hold off on that.
And so also a follow-up question. So I think I saw on one of your slides that this next Monday at the commission meeting, we're going to talk about upcoming work session items,
Correct.
more formal.
Yeah.
So we all have a chance to weigh in and say what's most important to us and what order and so forth.
Right.
Okay. Okay, good.
And to that end, I trust that the ones that have been on hold for months will be on the list.
Again, I keep the list, and I am working to schedule them both as the various representatives, if there are outside representatives involved, or as staff resources allow.
No, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. My question was that would the unscheduled topics be provided on a list to commissioners for our discussion so that we can see what those all those unscheduled topics?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we don't have the full list right now.
That you actually do have the full list, other than things that were recently added. That was what was shown in the last slide. So I always present that and say, this is the list that I have. There has been one added for today. So I do present that every work session to say, this is the list that I'm keeping.
So if there are items that that we feel have dropped off the list, we'll get those to you.
Correct. And that really is the type of feedback that I'm looking for every week when I put up that slide and say, this is the list I'm keeping. If something has dropped off the list or I have missed something, please let me know, because I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I'm keeping things on the list. But to the best of my knowledge, I have everything with the exception of what was added today.
It'll be a lot easier for us to track that when we get those lists in writing. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so in preparation for Monday, Sam, in this list, I just want to verify one thing, and something called, in my notes, I call it Arbutus Folk School. And I think Commissioner Zita wanted that as a work session item. So that will be on the list as possible consideration for a work session, true?
So I have that listed as more broadly as potential partners in destination waterfront.
Okay, I see. Good. Okay, then if we're all done with this topic, we've got one additional agenda item. So let's go ahead and move on to that. Number 5 is other topic, and Commissioner Zita, you asked for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Downing. So for other business, I had 3 things on the list, and they are now 2. One is community solar, which is Sam just recently added to the list, but I just want to give you a heads up. You may have heard that Olympia Community Solar, which this commission voted last year to support to the tune of $10,000, is partnering with the city of Olympia to put a big photovoltaic system on the farmers market. And so I would like us to consider the possibility of investing in that system. Olympia Community Solar, you may recall, is available to the port as a consultant for putting photovoltaics on port buildings if we would rather go in that direction. So we have one easy opportunity to work with the city on the new project that is planned, and one that would require more work on the part of the port, and that would be to come up to speed on our original goal to figure out how to do this at the port ourselves with the assistance of Olympia Community Solar. So that's the heads up that we'll be talking about. I just wanted to kind of test the waters here and see if there's any interest in continuing with this. This commission did agree that this was something worth studying. We gave the task to the POCAC a few years ago. The POCAC said, yep, let's do something. And we took that tiny step last year by giving 10,000 to Olympia Community Solar. But I think there was interest from this commission in doing more at the port. Is there?
Is this the Hummingbird project? I'm confused on that.
Yeah, so the Hummingbird
That was
project
the hands-on children's museum.
That's right. That was the first community solar project that was done by this group called Olympia Community Solar. And now they're doing a second one. And that is on the farmers market, working with the city of Olympia. So they're doing more. And they are available to help us figure out how to do more at the port. If we're interested, are we interested?
Thanks for that. I would call this a teaser, Commissioner Zeta, since you only asked for 5 minutes. And, you know, what I would ask is that if you have some reference materials that you could send them to Aspen, you could send them out to the commissioners and read up on it a little bit in advance. Step one, I think, is to, you know, as I say, wet our whistle on this topic, and then we'll schedule it as a work session item so we could get a more complete brief. So I'm, you know, sure, I'm interested, but, you know, I'd like to hear more.
Great. I think Mr. Rolfe would be the best one to tell us more about it. So I would suggest that we get information from him, invite him to tell us more. How's that sound?
Good.
I'd still like to get some advanced material to read up on it. So
I have provided some to the executive director and she can share that with you now.
Did you send something recently?
Last week. Yeah.
Yeah, Commissioner Zeta, well, she did forward that and I looked at it, but I didn't really make a connection to the farmer's market. So, you know, I think that I'm not sure that it was, you know, the same as what you're talking about.
It is the same. And so we'll get some more stuff to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So that was the first issue. And then the second one is the WPPA spring meeting is in the middle of May and I can't go. And I wanted to see if either of you wanted to go. I'm going to be busy.
Commissioner Zeta, is that in person or virtual?
It's virtual.
Virtual, yeah.
Yeah.
I have it on my calendar, so, you know, I think those are pretty important. I've got, I've got on my calendar for May 19, 20, and 21.
That's right. Yeah. Do you want to go instead then?
Well, I don't think that it's.
Well, I've been assigned.
You've been assigned.
That's one of my committee assignments, and so.
Oh, I see. I'm with you
that
now.
would be great.
So I'd be happy to attend.
Great.
So, yeah, that would be anything that requires a vote of the trustees, because Commissioner Zeta is the trustee for the port at the WPPA. So if they're having a meeting where they have to take a vote on something, then she would normally be the one voting on behalf of the port. So that would be, but otherwise than that, then any commissioner, excuse me, any commissioner can go to the WPA meetings. It's just the board of directors meeting or whatever they call it at the end of
Board
the
of Trustees.
board
right.
of trustees. Thank you. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
thanks
fine.
for that, Commissioner McGregor. So do you want to take that role, Commissioner Downing?
I do. I
Great,
do.
thank you.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you. Thanks for the heads up. Good.
that's it.
Okay, then. I think we're done. We'll see you next Monday at a commission meeting and talk some more about different things. So I presume you're going to send out a revised format because I just looked at the schedule for next Monday. It didn't have the
Right.
upcoming topics to discuss. So you'll send out a
Yep.
revised.
mhm,
Very
mhm.
good.
Okay.
Do I have thank you, Sam, and thank you everybody for presenting and participating. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, please say aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. See you.